All right, Aries, so it would make sense. It would make sense that lead the way is showing up, right? Stepping up to the plate here, showing people how to be self-starters, right? Showing them how it's done. But what I would say to you here is that you need to make sure that things are right in your life before you can lead the way for others. So lead the way, be a leader, show others how it's done, and you can help others, and then co-create. Now, co-create is specifically talking about you co-creating your life with God, the universe, a higher power, whatever you want to call it. It's about you being aligned with divine inspiration and therefore co-creating your life with the divine source. But lead the way is saying that there are going to be people that are going to reach out to you and looking for answers from you. They're going to be looking to you to kind of show them, what they need to do in their own lives. But maybe the best way to do that is to show them how to be co-creators in their own life. So lead the way. It says, it's time to step into a leadership role. Others are looking to you to solve a problem or show them how to work through an emotional situation. Help others by showing them what needs to be done, not by telling them what to do. Calm your emotions, ground and center yourself so you can be of greater service to others. You cannot help others overcome emotional distress until you have learned how to calm your own feelings. And, it's absolutely there. And it may be that, one person in particular comes up to you and they're needing your help. All right, Aries. Here's your overall. The Hierophant. I laugh because the idea of conformity in Aries, no. But with the Hierophant as the overall, again, people looking to you to solve their problems. Because with the Hierophant, you're talking about the conduit between God and man, But you're also talking about knowledge. I mean, think about it. The Hierophant ruling the fives, you're talking about all the shitty shit, all the difficult changes. And we seek out that spiritual understanding of why do we go through this? And that may be you right now, the Hierophant to others. But we'll see how this is playing out because you're talking about, conformity again. But I don't think that that's what this is going to be. Traditional values, commitment, right? But we'll see here. It's interesting to me. Okay. So in the past, the Two of Cups. Now, going back to co-create. For some of you, if this has to do with a relationship here, the Hierophant to me would suggest that there is kind of this feeling of overcoming a lot of the difficult changes that may have happened. But I also kind of feel like if you have somebody who is looking to you to kind of give them guidance, it may be, the person that you were in a relationship with, are in a relationship with. And with the Two of Cups, that could be any relationship and it could be romantic, but we'll see here. But definitely with the Hierophant, we're talking about, major commitment here. Temperance in the present. So, and again, this kind of goes back to this whole idea of, you needing to kind of get things right in your own life. So there may be a relationship involved where somebody may be wanting something traditional from you or maybe wanting that kind of commitment. But with Temperance in the present moment, you're kind of like, I got to keep my own inner balance and equilibrium right now. I don't want to get too emotional and I don't want to get too passionate here. I just need to find a nice equal balance. For you, it's not all or nothing. For the other person, though, it may be. Oh, Aries, look at it. So with the Ten of Cups right now, definitely this could be a situation here where there's a need to kind of figure things out before, you make any kind of commitment in a relationship, and this could just be having a relationship where you're out in the open about it, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be marriage for some of you. This could be somebody coming through that is wanting you to say that, yeah, this is my girlfriend or this is my boyfriend or this is my significant other. You know what I'm saying? They want the relationship to be out in the open. I kind of get that for some of you. But with the Ten of Cups, we're talking about happiness, happy life, right? happy home, happy life, happy relationships, you know? But you're going to have to figure out what that is, though, for you. And is that something that you can commit to? You know, what is happiness for you? Because, I mean, beyond family and relationships here, we're talking about your overall happiness and emotional fulfillment. But it looks good. I mean, all of it looks really good. Your best path to follow, the Knight of Wands. Okay. You know, what I get from this is that, you know, I definitely feel like any kind of commitment involving a relationship may have been like an issue in the past. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it was your issue. Okay. So, you know, it could be that you were used to dealing with people who didn't want to, you know, that, or there were certain people that you just absolutely didn't want to commit to. Maybe the idea of commitment or doing something traditional is just like, meh, right? But, you know, I'm looking at this and I think that with the Knight of Wands as your advice is saying, you know, don't worry about these things. It doesn't have to be so heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the Knight of Wands for you, especially for you, is about following your passion, not worrying about what's going to happen in the future, doing what you feel like is right for you in the moment. You know, I love the Knight of Wands. I do. There are times where I can't stand him because we're talking about somebody who does things and doesn't think about the fucking consequences of their actions. But that's not it here, because you're leading to overall happiness. But there is a part of you in the present moment that's trying to keep yourself in check. And I don't think that this is a situation that needs to be that heavy, you know? And I feel that with the Hierophant. But your advice here is to, you know, do what you feel like is right for you. Follow those passions wherever they take you, you know? And don't force yourself to do something that, you know, is not going to allow you the freedom that you want. In your environment, the Three of Wands, connected to Temperance, you kind of have an idea already of what you expect to see in your future. That's kind of how I look at this. And if you have like an issue with a relationship involved here, whether it's business, whether it's romantic, it doesn't matter. I think that a lot of you are just kind of like trying to hold this off while you're looking at what the possibilities hold for you. You know, especially if you've recently taken action that has kind of led you to, you know, this open door, so to speak. Like I finally took the steps that I needed to give myself more freedom. Now I can see what the future holds for me. And it may or may not have to do with, you know, being committed to a certain partnership, because I'm looking at this and I'm looking at this as your advice. Okay. And here you are, and this makes sense to me. You're trying to keep yourself in check when it comes to this. You do want to be happy. You do want to have overall happiness. But with the Two of Cups and the Hierophant coming down to the Three of Wands, it's like, okay, so do I stick to a commitment, something traditional, or do something in the traditional way? But what am I seeing in my future involving this? But your advice is saying you need to be free. You need to be free, you know? And like I said, for some of you, this absolutely can have to do with, you know, a work relationship, meaning that, you know, with the Two of Cups here, we're talking about something that you feel like is a good fit for you, but maybe not wanting to fully commit to it. You know, it just depends on how this is working out for you. Your hopes and your fears, the Five of Pentacles. Okay. Now, I don't feel like this is about you fearing any kind of rejection. I don't think that that's it. I think that, you know, the feeling there with the Five of Pentacles is that you don't want to have somebody that involved, or you don't want to have, you know, especially if we're talking about a relationship here, there are things that you don't want them to be involved with in your life. And it's not that you're rejecting them. It's just, you know, I only want so much. I don't want the full on, you know. Now, for some of you, absolutely could be fear of a rejection. Some of you, if it's about work, it's fear of not, you know, having enough with the Five of Pentacles, like taking, you know, a financial hit. But again, if we're talking about a person in particular here, because of the Two of Cups kicking this off, to me, it feels like this is you going, Look, I don't want you to see this as rejection. I just, I don't want to be like that involved, you know. Sorry, guys. But I don't feel like it's a bad thing. And I don't think that you're wanting it to come off that way, because I'm still looking at you trying to, and it's not like a Two of Pentacles. You're doing what you feel like is right for you, Wow, Aries. And then coming out the Page of Pentacles. So here's kind of what I'm getting from this, because I'm looking at it this way and then I'm looking at it this way. And the other circumstances, you need to have some level of freedom. You can't be weighed down, right? And it's not that, there isn't a possibility of commitment here, but I really think that for a lot of you, there are some things that you don't want to have other people involved with in your life. Now, again, as far as work goes here, you're going to be starting over. You may take a financial hit. It may be small, but it may be significant enough where you feel like you're going to have to rebuild with the Page of Pentacles coming out, but it's not bad. I look at the Page of Pentacles and I think we're starting at the bottom. We're starting over. Now, going back to the relationship before I get ahead of myself here. With the Page of Pentacles coming out, if you're looking at the Ten of Cups in your future conditions, this is basically saying that you may have to start over with, an understanding or a relationship with someone. Like, hi, my name is, let's start over again, But there is a lot of hard work that's going to have to be put in there, right? Starting from the bottom, working your way to the top. But we're talking about practical, realistic, something that's going to give you the results that you want to see, and what you expect to see in your future. But it's going to bring this overall happiness. And then the High Priestess. Yeah. So, again, I feel like that's you. I feel like there are some things here that, you're kind of keeping to yourself. Now, I don't necessarily feel like, this is secrets that are like intentionally being kept. It's you. I'm telling you, it's you. Now, usually with the High Priestess, one of the things that I talk about is this is about intuitively knowing something, but not having the facts to support it. But it also shows somebody that's like kind of keeping things to themselves. And I don't think that it's about you wanting to keep a secret life. But I think that, there are some things that, you may not, like I said, it's like you don't want somebody to be fully involved. Now on the other hand here, it is about trusting your intuition and what it's telling you in terms of, what you need to do in order to create overall happiness, but the world with the Two of Cups and kicking this off. And the reason why things are kind of starting over is because there was a completion point in the past, right? Or, there were some things that, you were needing to get closure on. The other person was needing to get closure on. But we're talking about, a successful completion here, right? Then you move into the Chariot. So as soon as that happens, you're like, boom, I'm fucking gone, right? You're on the move. And you are looking toward the bigger picture, the future here, what is going to happen for you, and you're ready to go. Like once the world hits, there's like this immediate sense of direction and boom, gone. But we're also talking about self-control and willpower, the willpower here not to do the same thing that you've done in the past, right? And Temperance, again, you're keeping yourself in check. Now, after that, though, with the High Priestess, like I said, I don't think that a lot of you feel like the traditional way of doing things is going to bring you the type of happiness that you're wanting. So some of you may be kind of keeping that to yourselves. But like I said, this is definitely you paying attention to what you intuitively know is right for you, because your overall happiness is what's coming out here. And what you choose to work on coming out is what's going to create that, But, I'm seeing it from your perspective, not so much the other person, if we're talking about, like I said, the relationship here. In terms of work, intuitively, you feel like this is the right thing to do. It's time to move on. It's time to, go the distance, so to speak, here to kind of start things over. I mean, either way, it looks really good, Aries. But what I would tell you is that what's more important for you is, first of all, to have freedom and to be happy. That's it. That is it. You may be trying to keep yourself in check right now, But make sure that your future is open, so where you're not locked into something where you can't change your mind later. You know what I'm saying? And speak your truth, right? Like, don't keep things secret. You're going to have to speak up. Otherwise, somebody may not understand, and misinterpret what you are trying to do. It doesn't have anything to do with them anymore. It's all about you and your life. But then definitely, if you don't want to be locked into something and you want to still have like freedom of movement here, you're going to have to speak up about it. But be confident that you're still going to create abundance. 2 right there. Uncovering treasures beneath the surface lies great bounty, and traveling lightly simplify your life. Yes, yes. So this is uncovering all of the good things that you could possibly see in your life, right? Like, after being locked into something from the past, possibly, you're getting a sense of freedom now, and you're seeing that, there is so much to be had. But you're going to have to let go of some things, right? Traveling lightly. Getting rid of baggage, getting rid of any garbage. And I look at it, and that's your advice right there anyway, with the Knight of Wands. I like it. I like it. I think that the biggest thing for you toward the end of August is you need to look at, what your future is actually showing you. What are you expecting from that? But I also feel like, don't lock yourself into anything that is going to restrict any kind of freedom from you moving forward. Whether it has to do with work or relationships, right? Because it's all about you, like, uncovering all the treasures now, and having the freedom to do that and not having anything weighing you down in the process.